This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right. There he is.
I'd say we're about 30 seconds away from calling this the Big Sean Show. So I'm glad
it actually really is the Big Sean Show every day.
That's how you lose. That's how Alex Smith lost the job, man.
That's true.
That's how, countless NFL players have lost their job, man.
Yeah, soon I'll be the producer and he will be the host. That's just the
it's
way
all
it's
opportunities, baby.
It all. That's how the world evolves. That's just things like that end up happening. So how you feeling? What's the grade from the weekend?
Grade. Yeah, it's hard to grade a preseason performance, man. Just they're not doing much. Things that I like. I like the way Tua progressed through his reads. Every pass attempt. Last year we saw too often. If the first one wasn't there, all bets are off and hell broke loose. That wasn't his fault. That wasn't his fault. All 100% of it wasn't his fault. But you can see the coaching take place here. You can see the coaching is starting to permeate, and the numbers aren't going to pop out at you. I think 6 for 8, 58 yards. It's not going to blow you away for those who are hoping for 2 touchdowns in 2 drives. But I think all that McDaniel really wanted to see is that he's retaining information, and I think and applying what he's learning. And I think Tua definitely displayed an ability to apply the things he's being taught. Run game still concerning, man. It's still concerning. Chase Edmonds had a couple runs. Maybe it'll open up a little bit more because I think that the run game is going to open up more. It's predicated on defenses being on their toes with this quick passing game.
Right. There's
and if they're not doing much there, if they're not doing much there, then it's not going to bleed into opening up the run game. So it's not popping, but it's not something I'd be concerned about until the Patriots.
By the way, and not that it's going to correct it all, but it will get better once you bring Armstead fully in there, because that will bring balance to the left side of the line. Because if you have Larnell there, then all of a sudden a guy like Eichenberg has to carry more of the weight. Whereas when you bring Armstead in with him and Connor, you could kind of hide Eichenberg a little bit more, and he could kind of go in the groove with everything going on. When you have Larnell there, it just creates more of an imbalance at this point. So the Teron Armstead presence for 4 quarters will make a difference in the running game and will make a difference along that O-line. It happens a lot to a lot of lines throughout the league that when they lose that left tackle, it takes them completely out of balance at times. And so that's the other hurdle that they've been dealing with. And I think, I'm not telling you it's going to be a good running game or anything. I'm just saying it'll look better than it looks now if you have Armstead there for 4 quarters. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, he's a steadying presence, if nothing else. So I think, you can't they get an incomplete grade, because then also we're seeing this offense with no Tyreek and no Jalen Waddle, which makes me believe that this Eagles game has to be some sort of dress rehearsal, because you haven't gotten, Tyreek, Jalen, Teron, Tua have not all taken live snaps with each other at the same time. So it's got to be, unless they just steamroll Philadelphia this week. I would expect extended run from Tua and the starters there in week 3. Because you got to. It was one thing when there's a 4th preseason game and you went right from preseason to regular season, but you got an extra 2 weeks, I think it is now, before that game starts. So there's a little less concern here. And it seems like the Dolphins, this iteration of the Dolphins, are very conscientious of the science behind playing guys in certain positions, in certain spots. So I think if the science tells them this is a risk that is worth taking, then they're going to go for it.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. I think, look, Poupart thinks that this past week was the dress rehearsal, and that this week, because of practicing with Philadelphia, they won't do it. I disagree with him. I think it's the reverse. I actually think Teddy had his dress rehearsal like this week. That's why they played him so much. And I think this coming week now, you're going to see Tua play the half and into the third the way Teddy did, and then Teddy will get a little bit, and then Skyler will finish off the fourth. I think that I'm with you because you haven't seen everybody together. Hell, you even held out Mostert this week. I think if Mostert's healthy enough, he'll play this week too. I think you'll get the fullback in there if he's healthy enough too. I think all those kind of elements, I think they want to run a series or two with all those guys to see how they feel, overall to get something on tape going into the regular season. I agree with you. I disagree with Poupart. I think that they're leading into a dress rehearsal this week, and the only caveat is what you said. If somehow or another these guys are lighting up Philadelphia for 2 days and they're dominating, then maybe they say, you know what, they've had enough work. Let's call it a day and let's move on. But I'm with you. I think this is the dress rehearsal week because you have to.
I mean, we would have to see like Thursday practice against the Buccaneers. We would have to see that for 2 days for me to say, okay, Tua's ready for the regular season. Tyreek is Tyreek. But like I think that you got to see Waddle with live reps. McDaniel called Jalen Waddle maybe the most improved player from I think OTAs and minicamp into training camp. And I don't disagree. I think before he got hurt last week, I thought that he was in the conversation for training camp MVP. I think Waddle has been uncoverable. Like as good as Tyreek Hill has been, Jalen Waddle has gotten open at will. He doesn't drop passes. His routes look fresh. It's truly been a 1A, 1B conversation. It's not like a first option, second option type of deal. And considering that McDaniel really was high on Jalen Waddle, he saw him as the Tyreek Hill of this offense before they knew Tyreek was available. I think that's a pretty high compliment, but you need to see them getting some live reps together. I think this is going to be a really fun week of practice to watch. I think it's going to be a really fun week of practice to watch from a receiver versus DB standpoint. Because on both sides of the ball, I mean, you've got Tyreek and Jalen Waddle against Darius Slay and James Bradbury, who, kind of slid under the radar into Philadelphia this offseason after he was a surprise cut of the New York Giants. And Bradbury, he was a Pro Bowler not very long ago. I believe second team All-Pro. Well, he spent a bulk of his career covering a nightmare matchup 6 games a year. He had to go against Julio, Michael Thomas, and Mike Evans when he was in Carolina, and he held his own. He's got that, he does have a lockdown corner resume. I don't know if he's still a lockdown corner. I think he's very clearly the second corner. He's the Byron Jones to Darius Slay's Xavier Howard, if that makes sense. So he's a number one on some teams.
With you there.
Not on this team.
What are you doing about swing tackle now? Because I'm almost thinking that you might be having Robert Jones ready to step in at guard for Liam and have Liam be the guy that is ready to be the swing tackle, because I don't see a swing tackle. I think you put Larnell Coleman back on the practice squad again. And Greg Little, I haven't seen anything from Greg Little because he's been injured, so there's nothing to count on there. How concerned are you about the swing tackle right now?
Oh, it's the most important depth offensive lineman position, I think, and they don't have anything strong there. They don't have anything that will give you comfort if Armstead or Austin Jackson misses time. And I feel like I had this conversation with somebody who was trying to say that, Larnell Coleman was a fine option. It's like, he's not been. He hasn't been.
Not a fine. No, I never said he was a fine option. Did I? Are you?
I just said I don't remember who I had the conversation with.
Oh, okay. I didn't say it was a fine option, but he was showing some signs at times, but there hasn't been anywhere the consistency that you need from Larnell Coleman. Has he played better than he did last year? Hell yeah. But it's still nowhere what you need to count. And he had a lot of playing time too. It's been a real blessing for him, just like Noah. both of these guys have had the ultimate blessing that they've had people that are sitting down and giving them plenty of time to show their skills, and they have not been bridge the gap, unfortunately. Larnell has played better, okay, but nowhere near what you need to be the swing tackle still.
No, and I mean, I would guess, like I said, I think he's kind of there by default rather than actually beating out Greg Little, because Greg Little can hardly stay healthy. That's just that's the stigma attached to him throughout his 4-year career, is that he doesn't stay healthy and he doesn't produce when he's on the field, and he is healthy. It is a concern, but you got to remember as well, there are options. There will be options after cut day. There will be a surprise cut somewhere around the league. There's a possibility that they can fix this by snapping up somebody who I guess just wasn't a fit with their respective team. No names necessarily come to mind because I don't know who might get cut. You know, it's one of those, like, you know, when you see it. So I think you keep that option open. You keep that hope alive. But as of right now, you are on your knees praying that Teron Armstead can play 17 games.
Same thing as for corner, right? With Trill's injury now, Crossan has shown a little something. He got banged up, but he was able to come back in the game. The Cater Kohu guy, they obviously like him because they paid a little extra money to put him on the roster. And then Mackenzie Alexander that they just signed. Who the hell's the fourth corner?
I don't know yet, man. It's a position that, because people keep getting injured, it's constantly revolving. I'm a little concerned about Byron Jones. I will say it right now. I'm a little concerned.
Well, let's wait for this week, right? Let's wait for this week. Let's see what happens. Right?
If he practices, then fine. We'll see.
Right.
But I mean, we haven't even seen him on the sideline yet, practicing or doing work to the side. So I feel like there's a natural progression here. You start seeing him work to the side for a week, and then he gets his way in actual practice. I don't think the first time we're going to see him is
unless he's doing it behind the scenes and we don't know about it.
I'm sure that he's doing something behind the scenes, but we saw Elijah Campbell, who started the season started training camp on PUP. We saw him doing on-field drills before finally being taken off the list. Like there's a natural progression to this.
No one cares about Elijah Campbell. No one cares.
It's about the process. Oh, not the player. It's about the process.
But you will be writing about Byron Jones and his progress. This way, you have no idea what's going on. So they keep everybody in the dark about one of their better players, and then they can spring it on you and surprise you if you want. Or there could be, delays, like what you're concerned about. And the point is, it could go either way at this time. I think this is the week we find out right now. This is the week, because he's got to get on the field somehow to start either practicing and doing something so he could get ready for the regular season. If he's not on the field this week, doesn't even have to play against Philadelphia, but if he's not on the field this week, then I'm with you. Then there's a concern.
My concern is that I was told when he had his surgery March or April? I think March, that he would be ready for training camp. The expectation is that he would be ready for training camp. And we are 4 weeks in at this point. And he's not even limited in practice. He's not even red jersey in practice. He's not doing team drills yet. He's doing drills by himself. Like I'm concerned, not only because we haven't seen him yet, and again, maybe miraculous recovery this week and he's ready, but we haven't seen him yet, and there has been zero viable option behind him. If they had to start the season tomorrow, Mac Jones might throw for 340 yards because you avoid Xavier Howard and you pick on Noah Igbinoghene. You put Tyquan Thornton. I don't think Tyquan Thornton's going to be ready. You put Kendrick Bourne on Igbinoghene's side. You put Aguilar on Igbinoghene's side. Somebody who can run a little bit, who can change direction, and his anticipation skills just aren't there. It's like he he doesn't want to trust his athleticism. He doesn't want to trust his technique. He kind of, and when the lights are on, even when the lights aren't on, when the sun is on him, at practice, when it matters, he reverts back to this timid style of play that gets him constantly beat. And again, you really hate to see it because he really is a good kid. He really is a good dude. Very mature for his age, very introspective young man. Like, here I am sounding like an old head. I don't turn 30 till Sunday, but he's a good kid. You would like to see him succeed. But the instincts are not there. And that's the one thing you hear that is a constant across the Dolphins beat. The instincts aren't there. And that is a huge problem for
they're not
instinctual position on the football field.
They're not supposed to be there because he hasn't played it long enough to think like one yet. And that's been the problem. And not only that, you come out of college where you had a short career as a corner there, and then you get to the NFL and you really don't play much the first 2 years. And this is when he's getting his most experience here over these last few weeks. And unfortunately, he's so far behind Marcel. Yeah, I'm sure he'll be here one more year. You know what I mean? Because just to kind of bring it back to the beginning of your conversation, when you were talking about how Waddle was the most improved, I'm thinking, well, he's second year. He's got a first-year experience. Now he has like real offensive coaches around him. He's got a Wes Welker who's got a bunch of knowledge. So now he's got better people offensively around him so he can become a better and more educated player. So that helps him. Same thing with Noah now. Noah now has a guys like Surtain and Madison that can work with him now and actually, follow his progress throughout the year, where I don't think he had anybody really working with him last year overall. So I think this year it's like another one of those red shirt years for him. And then they'll see if this coaching staff can reach him. And then maybe this is his last shot, as year 3. And then they find out, okay, he doesn't have it. We got to let him go. But I think they hang on to him one more year just to allow the people around him now to see if they can reach him. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I still don't understand is why is he not returning kicks or punts? Like, why is he not being used?
They must not be impressed. They must not be impressed.
He had 2 returns. I think he had 2 return touchdowns at Auburn. Like, he can do it. You're athletic enough. Tap into your receiver instincts. Avoid tackles. Find the hole. I just don't. I don't understand what the.
Remember, they moved him out of receiver, so he must not have been a very good receiver. Okay, when they move you from quarterback and they put you at receiver, you must not have been a very good quarterback. So you know what I'm saying? That they don't move you from quarterback to wide receiver. If they do that, that's like a major insult, And so, yeah, that's the thing. The kid never was a good receiver and has not had enough time to mature into a good corner. It's a really screwed up situation for him. and here's the other thing. McDaniel was telling us, remember when I asked him about the switch of Noah and do you have somebody kind of guiding him through that? And he says, well, he should have an advantage. He played the position that he's covering, right? Yeah. And I didn't want to get into a pissing contest with him, but I felt like telling him, yeah, he played that position, but he wasn't very good. And he never became an elite college wide receiver and never became an elite NFL wide receiver. He was just a wide receiver from high school. A wide receiver from high school has no knowledge compared to a experienced college and NFL guy. So he never can think like Diggs or any of those guys. So anybody, including McDaniel, that thinks he has an advantage, that's not true, dude. True.
He was a 4-star receiver. He had a little bit of talent there. And he spent a year. I think he spent his freshman year at receiver at Auburn before they moved him over.
Exactly. High school receiver that they looked at him in Auburn and said, not good enough. Go to corner. Because that's what happens when they move receivers to corner. It's because you can't catch or you can't do something right or whatever. Oh, but you can run and you're an athlete. Let's put you over at corner instead.
From what I was reading, literally just now, it was a matter of Auburn had a lot of depth at receiver and wanted to get him on the field quickly. That was the public statement from I think it was still Malzahn at the time. But
Yes.
yeah, I can never keep up with who is at Auburn. I feel like it's been kind of a turnstile over the past 5-6 years. But yeah, I don't know, man. That's an example of when drafting traits goes wrong. You draft athletic traits without anywhere to put them. I feel like that's a natural progression to punt returner, to returner, though.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
hey, you're hella athletic, and we have no idea.
You are 1,000% right, my brother. Okay, everything philosophically you're saying is 1,000% right, but they must have watched them returning and said, "Yeah, no, we've got better guys." I'd rather go with what's the name of the kid now with the junior? What's his name? The wide receiver / returner now, the back end. Come on, man. The guy that's battling for the 6th wide receiver spot. Huh?
Oh, Lynn Bowden.
Lynn Bowden. Is it Bowden or Bowden?
I think Bowden. Or maybe it's Bowden. Lynn Bowden.
Anyway, Lynn Bowden Jr., I think they look at him and say, yeah, he's got better, abilities in this case. We want to use you instead of Noah. That's what it tells me. I mean, if you're a good returner, you know it, dude. They're gonna want you back there. And if he's not back there, they must not like him as a returner at all. There must be something.
It has to be. Like, they see these. One thing that I like to remember and remind fans every single year, whenever you are wondering why so and so doesn't play more, these coaches spend basically all day, every day with these guys.
Yeah.
Not just the 20-minute window of practice that the media sees, not just game day, not just the clips that come to social media. They spend time in the meeting room, in the locker room, in the weight room. They see things that we don't. So if somebody is not playing somewhere, there is probably a good reason why. And so, yeah, when I might be confused. I might not know why Noah Igbinoghene isn't being used as a returner, but I bet your ass that Mike McDaniel knows and has a good reason why. So I'm not arguing with it. I'm just like, wow, what is the reason? Like, I don't understand because I don't know. I literally don't know. It's maybe something I ask him this coming week.
It's twisted, isn't it? It's just weird. Yeah, we should ask him that actually about why isn't he in the mix in the return game? Because obviously, here's the other thing. A lot of stupidity last year. The back end of your roster, a lot of those guys weren't helping you out on special teams, and that they can't do that shit again because that just hurts your roster overall. And by the way, if you're going to keep Skyler, you really can't screw around with those back end roster spots, running back, wide receiver, corner, linebacker. The back end of all those roster spots, those guys better be two-way players, and they better be helping you out on special teams. So if you're going to have Noah on your team, and he's not going to help you out at corner, and he's not going to help you out on special teams, oh my God, dude. You mean you can't be a flyer? You can't be a returner? What? You got to do something, bro. And last year there was too much of that on the roster, and that creates problems for you.
You know what? That is a good question. We're going to right now, I'm going to look up the dead money because while it's a little unorthodox to cut a first round pick after 2 seasons, I'm kind of curious. They take a $5 million hit.
Oh, no, they're not cutting him. No, they take hits for cutting him this year. He's on the roster for one more year. There's no doubt about it. But the problem that he is right now, if he can't help you at corner, he can't help you on special teams, that's the only guy on the roster that has to be like that. You cannot do that like they did last year with several guys. You know
what I'm fascinated about, man, or I'm wondering, I'm pondering, what kind of year does Noah Igbinoghene need to have for them to pick up his 5th-year option in May?
Oh, no, no. Well, no, this is 3rd year, so it would be only his 4th year next year.
No, correct? But they make the decision after his 3rd year.
Oh, yeah, but he would have to.
That's what I'm saying.
He would have to get interceptions. It would have to be like somebody go down and he steps in and actually acts like a real corner, and then they would tag him. Outside of that, there's no shot that they're picking up the 5th-year option. Zero. There's no reason. There's no reason. He's only going to make it through this year and the training camp of next year. After that, if he doesn't show the light of day, there's no way he even makes it onto the roster in his 4th year. That's my prediction. I think they give this coaching staff and those DBs, they give them 1 year to work with the kid. And then Madison and Surtain will walk in there and say, we did our best. You got to move on. And that's it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's come out yet, but ESPN, we did something, one of our all 32 writers prompts of players on the hot seat. And I said Noah, and I said because he's not necessarily playing for his 5th-year option. That I think is a given. He is playing for a roster spot.
Yes.
In year 4. Like he makes it by default this year. He might not have a 4th season.
Oh, no.
Forget a 5th-year option.
Right now he has no 4th season coming his way if he continues at this pace. Forget the tag. Forget the 5th-year option. Forget that shit. That's not even in consideration. He's trying to make it out of training camp for next year is what he's trying to do. Seriously. That's it. They have to do that. They have no choice with him, unfortunately. All right. What are you working on ESPN so folks can check you out, Marcel?
Got 2 off-season stories to be running. I think we're aiming for beginning of September, very beginning of September. Excited to get that out finally. Watching this last week of practice as well, like watching how they respond to the run-heavy Philadelphia Eagles. I don't think that – I think that the Buccaneers watching that game and watching basically them against the backups of the Raiders didn't necessarily tell us a whole lot about the defense, particularly when Brady left. They dominated because it's Blaine Gabbert. I'm not interested. Philadelphia has a lot of weapons at every position. They've got 2 legitimate receivers. They've got a legit receiving tight end. They've got a couple running backs that can hurt you. They got one of the best offensive lines in the league. So I'm looking at how this defensive line of the Dolphins that has been wreaking havoc all offseason, what kind of push at the line of scrimmage can they get against arguably the best unit in the NFL, the best offensive line in the NFL?
And by the way, they got a couple of nice backup quarterbacks. Minshew played well, and so did Reed Sinnett. So I can already see the storyline in the second half that you will be writing this week. You will be writing Sinnett versus Skyler. You're going to be talking about Miami's 2 backup quarterbacks, the big showdown in the second half of week 3 in the preseason. Skyler versus Sinnett. Yeah, baby. Oh, I'm excited.
Hey, Skyler Thompson. It is Skyler Thompson to the moon, my boy.
By the way, Sinnett 4 of 9, 69 yards and a touchdown. Another touchdown this week. 2 straight weeks where he produces a score. How about that? Skyler learned their lesson. They exposed Sinnett and he was gone. They're not exposing Skyler. He's on the 53, baby. Done. There'll be no exposing. Okay? Just in case. If you thought you were going to be covering Skyler getting exposed, he will not be getting exposed. He will be on the 53. Now, you are what are you telling the people that write into the silliness of cut Teddy, trade him right now, and move Skyler up? In fact, move Skyler ahead of Tua. Are you listening to all that stupidity?
I'm not responding to Skyler over Tua, but
how about Skyler over Teddy? Come on, that's ridiculous also.
It's ridiculous because that check already cleared. Teddy's not going anywhere.
No, it's ridiculous because you don't cut the smartest brain in the room. Yeah. Tua needs to download.
But I will say,
Tyler needs to download that information. That's why you have Teddy there, bro. You do not let Teddy go because he's going to educate both of your quarterbacks. He's the smartest guy in the room. He's the most experienced guy in the room. He's seen more. Both these young kids will learn from Teddy, bro. Teddy's if God would have given him just a little bit more ability, that dude goes to the Hall of Fame. But unfortunately, they did not bless him with the athletic ability that he needed. But his brain, his leadership, is Studley, bro.
Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Hall of Fame.
If you gave him NFL like talent, like
Oh,
talent,
way
like
back.
I'm telling you,
You're going to sit here and tell me it turned into a whole segment when I suggested Mike Vick should be in the Hall of Fame. But you're going to tell me that Teddy Bridgewater with a little more ability as a Hall of Fame quarterback?
Mike Vick is a pea brain next to, please, don't insult me like that. Teddy Bridgewater is a scholar, bro. Teddy Bridgewater is a scholar, my man.
Skyler's outplayed Teddy all summer at practice. It's been like that for 4 weeks. Skyler's been the best. If Skyler was 1 year older, Teddy would be off the roster.
Are you listening to me? You obviously are not listening to me.
I can't.
I just told you Teddy's not talented enough to have the success he needs. But here, if you put it this way, if you got Teddy's brain and leadership and put it into Ryan Tannehill, Hall of Fame.
Look.
Hall of Fame.
Davis Webb with a little bit more ability, Hall of Fame.
Well, hey, man, I'm sorry if God didn't give him the ability. You know what happened? Ken Dorsey.
Look, if Case Keenum could throw like Josh Allen.
Exactly. That's my point. Yes, that's exactly my point. There are those guys that are smart enough. Ty Detmer. There are those guys that came to the league and they lasted in the league because they're so effing smart.
That's the prototype for a backup quarterback. Great up here, right? Average to below average arm. Exactly. Respect to the NFL.
But it doesn't mean that those kind of guys would not be special if the Lord didn't bless them with the ability. That's all I'm saying. If you gave Teddy Tannehill's talent, the guy's a Hall of Famer. Hall of Famer because he has the brain. You have to have the brain to go with the talent. Jim Druckenmiller didn't have the brain. Vince Young didn't have the brain. Michael Vick didn't have the brain. That's why he's killing dogs. You got to have the IQ, dude, to survive. Like Drew Brees was that borderline guy, but because he was so smart, he was able to overcome and have that success. But it really comes down to intelligence and talent. And Teddy has it all. The only thing he lacks is the God-given ability, bro.
I'm telling you right now, and you can ask everybody who goes to Dolphins practice regularly that is on this show. If Skylar Thompson was 1 year older, Teddy would be off of this roster. The only reason he has outplayed him that much, that I can't immediately shut down the cutting Teddy rumors. That's not going to happen. Because
Marcel,
but Skyler is a better quarterback right now. But he's not gonna. He's a better quarterback right now, and that is why he's making the 53.
Marcel. I'm the guy that when they drafted Skyler, I told everybody that they look at him as a backup quarterback, and if they can develop it in the next year, that will be your backup quarterback. I've been saying it since draft day, and now watching him play. Now you can see that he's got all the skill set to be the backup. And you are right. He needs experience. That's why you don't let go of Teddy right now, because Teddy's experience is invaluable for Tua and for Skyler right now. You got to keep Teddy forget about the cap hit and all that other stuff. It's just he's so important mentally for everybody in that quarterback room because he's way ahead of everybody mentally.
He has to be. He has to be because on the field, he has not been. It's not even that Skyler is outplaying him. It's that Teddy has not been good at training camp, period. Period. He doesn't throw the ball well. He is not accurate. He doesn't throw well on the run. He's leaving receivers short. He's overthrowing other receivers. His arm has looked like what everybody keeps thinking Tua's arm looks like. Like what people outside of Miami keep saying Tua looks like. Teddy's not been good, so it has to be up here. Otherwise, he wouldn't. If the check didn't clear and he wasn't smart, he wouldn't make this final 53. I think this training camp's been that bad.
I think you're just watching Teddy for the first time live a lot, and now you're seeing it. But he's kind of been that guy forever. He's never been really gifted, bro. He's never been really gifted. It's just one of those things. And the injuries have also taken a toll.
He had a little bit more talent. He'd be in the Hall of Fame, right?
Which, by the way, is a lot like Chad Pennington. Teddy and Chad Pennington didn't come in with a lot of gifts. They were up here. Chad Pennington and Teddy Bridgewater are the exact same player, dude. Exact same player. Super smart, leaders. They have it all. The Lord didn't bless them with the abilities. And then both of them have suffered injuries. And as they've suffered injuries, they weren't given those abilities. And now they've lost a little on those abilities with the injuries at the same time. So by the time Miami got Pennington, there was almost nothing left. And they won a bunch of games. Why? Because Chad Pennington, his brain is at another level, and so is Teddy. Those guys, the Ty Detmers of the world, the Steve Walshes of the world, these kind of guys, they survive because of this, bro. That's it. It's not really ability. Once you watch them in person, you can't be impressed with Chad Pennington's arm. You can't be impressed with Ty Detmer's arm. You can't be impressed with Bridgewater's arm. But this is what saves them. It's amazing. It really is. It really is. The intelligence is what makes a difference in this level. And that's the only reason they've survived. You know? So, all right. Follow him on Twitter at Marcel_LJ. Catch his exceptional work on ESPN. And twice a week here, of course, giving you the edge. Marcel, as always, thank you, my brother. We will catch up later on in the week.
Yes, sir. See you.
Marcel Louis-Jacques. Remember, you can't get edge anywhere in any store. You can only go online for the finest energy drink on the planet. Save 10%. Use our code Big O. It's only 78 calories, which is a joke. Delicious, smooth, and zero aftertaste. And as an elixir, oh, man, hides that vodka. When I mix it with the Grey Goose, I don't even taste the Grey Goose. It is so good. Try it. You're going to love it. No aftertaste. When I tell you zero aftertaste, I mean it, because all these energy drinks have aftertaste. Edge does not. Go to myedgedrink.com, myedgedrink.com. Order it. Use our code Big O and get 10% off and get it delivered to your home, and you'll taste the most delicious energy drink on the planet. Edge Energy Drink. You now have the edge.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.